Today is October 26th, it is currently 6:39 PM. This is a Finance Committee meeting. In attendance, we have myself, Council President Wolf, we have Councilperson Camera, we have Mayor Southard, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Leah, and Fiscal Officer Wilczek. Giddy up.
Okay, I passed out to you the comparison chart that we went over, talked about last time we met. I added a couple things to it. I computed the annual salary based upon the hourly rate for each of the ranges. I set up a range for the sergeant, lieutenant, and chief of police. The low end of the range for those three is the fourth step for patrol officers, and the high end is the sixth step. Basically, sergeant is 6% above the highest step for patrol officer, lieutenant is 6% above the sergeant, and the chief is 10% above the lieutenant. That's what I worked out for 2023 as we go through the rest of this time. Right now, 2024 is set at 12.5% increase for across the board for all the officers, sergeant, lieutenant, chief. Okay. Questions on that? Okay. Next item up is the.
Well, since we're only 2 minutes in and Councilperson Cost has arrived, can you go back and explain that for Councilperson Cost?
Sorry, guys.
You're fine, here,
The hospital.
here, I'll give her mine.
Thank you, hi.
And
Hot mess.
she wasn't here for the last one of these, so maybe context on what the explanation is for her as well.
Everybody's like,
Well,
yeah, everybody, it's like, and I'm like, if I ever bring a new baby, like, freaking out. Yeah, it's freaking me out. Hi.
Okay.
I'm disruptive, I know, sorry.
We'll step back and the comparison of patrol officer wages document that was just passed out to you. What we did at the last meeting, we discussed the where Minerva Parks matched up with Madison, Perry, and Glendon townships. Okay? That is, the document in front of you is not up on the screen. Okay? The percent above represents how much these other entities make above our police officers. At least with the 2022 rates. 2023 rates is based upon the contracts for the other entities and our officers compared to that. I added or factored in a 15% increase to bring them up closer to where our other departments are at, Madison, Perry. Okay. And added the hourly rate along with the annual salary. We created a range for the sergeant, lieutenant, and chief, with low end being the fourth step for the officers, patrol officers, and the high end being the last step for them. As far as working forward with the budget, we started off, we're actually looking at a 15% increase across the board for all police officers, the lieutenant, chief, and sergeant in the police department. Also passed out on the legal size documents is the expenditure worksheet or detailed expenditure worksheet. And what I've done is you have the budget and actual information in there through September. That would be those columns up on the screen if you want to look there. Okay. And we built the wages, benefits, and the department budgets based upon our detail account codes. So looking at 2023, and again, taking into account the 15%, looking at the wages compared to prior years and the current period. Right now, they're on target to be over just $500,000 on wages for 23, or for 22. And (2024), 5, 6, 7, and 8, looking out 5 years, because we want to see how this affects us looking out 5 years. 24 has an 8% increase built in. 25 has a 5% increase built in for most expenditures. And 26, 7, and 8, we're looking, I factored in a 3% increase. Okay?
I have a quick question.
Now, wages obviously are up 15%.
Yeah, I have a quick question though.
Sure.
So if that top line is salary, full-time, right?
That one, yes.
Yeah, okay, so so if it's 15% across the board, that 741.5 is considerably more than 15% above the actual for 2022.
Well, the actual for 2022 is only through September 1st of all.
Right, but you said, you said 500,000 for the year, is what you said.
They're a little over that.
A little over, yeah, so even at 500,000 for the year, 15% more on top of that doesn't get you anywhere near 700,000.
Aren't we adding an officer though?
We're gonna be adding an SRO and we're currently down an officer. So
Okay.
salaries are
Yes.
nowhere
Okay.
near.
Got it, so it's more, that's more than just a 15%.
So assuming
over.
that we have
Got it, that's all.
worst case scenario, is
Yeah.
that fair?
Those are considerations I hadn't put in there, I was just taking a number and multiplying it by 1.15.
The other thing that happens is some of our officers are also eligible for a step increase on their anniversary. So they get 15% plus the step increase,
Right.
which I leveled off at 6% each time.
Yeah, no, that's fine, like I said, I was just taking a number and multiplying by 1.15, saw a $200,000 discrepancy and thought that was worth a question.
Not a problem. Okay? And again, the benefits were built off our anticipated increase for our health care. Our pension is 14% of the wages, Medicare 1.45%, so on, okay? Outside of that, I sat with the police chief and went down through line by line as to what he was looking for on this, and what he's asking for in his budget. Okay? I don't know, I don't want to get stuck on the individual line items, okay? So if you turn the page, and one of the things that you'll see more of in the next meeting that we go, see that note box from capital outlay for the police department? There's actually a police cruiser, and chief has to upgrade his body cam and video cameras in the cars. That's $60,000. So that's what's built in here on that. And I put 65 for the next car. It just keeps creeping up.
Yeah.
So some of the larger line items, we're going to put those boxes there so we know what's in it.
Yeah.
Both, and you guys will know what's in it too. Okay. Factored in an increase based upon the most current one for the fire department. As we go down through the list here. That's the contract with Columbus Fire. There's two parts to it. And we built the increase in at 5%, because that's what was passed on to us for 22, for the $108,000 fire contract, $40,000 for checking the hydrants and everything else. Okay. Again, street lighting and civil defense, that's just based upon trend and looking at 8%, then 5, 3, County Health District, there's nothing we don't have control over that. That's a deduction from our property taxes. Provide and maintain parks, it's just some minor expenses tied with it. Contractual services and supplies and materials with it, okay? Swimming pool. We've built back in, we bumped wages once already this year. We're gonna probably bump the wages a little bit more again next year. And we're trying to increase the pool manager's salary. We're looking at trying to bump that up to $15,000 for next year. He's currently at 12.
That's it. That's all?
He's at 12.
Yeah, tell us about it.
He's worth way more than that in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah,
So
we know.
Absolutely, yeah.
let's,
So we're
that's-
trying to move it up.
And if he
Okay.
leaves, replacing him is gonna cost us way more
Oh,
than that. Yeah.
way more.
So, yeah,
So, yeah,
I think
okay,
that's why we're trying to ramp up a little.
please,
Um,
there'll be no argument for
Also
me.
build in, we've got our operating expenses. We're looking at 2 more pool filters that come into play there. On, but the capital line, capital outlay, we're looking at adding another round of loungers plus chairs. So we factored in $20,000 for that. I don't know for sure what the price is with the chairs. We know another round of loungers is about $10,000. Okay?
Don't worry, we'll find something. Jason and I are pretty good at that.
Oh, yeah, I can spend money.
Umbrellas, we're good.
Concessions, we factored in a bit of an increase for next year and then on out. Overall, the concessions were pretty good this year. We spent $4,700 for concessions and we brought in $5,600 in revenue.
Now,
And I'd like to.
that doesn't sound like a lot, however, I will point out that we spent a lot on, merch, like that stuff,
That
and
we
we
still
still
have.
have a ton of it
Yeah.
left, so we will see that increase over the years.
And the only other thing that him and I talked about very little, and I know we're not gonna get stuck on this, is like Memorial Day weekend before, like when they have the pop and stuff on sale, we started paying a lot more for that as the season went on, as
Oh,
things
yeah.
increased. So if we could, do things, now that we know we're gonna do it and have the time and we know what we want, I think we can find the stuff on sale and do bigger purchases up front.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we added a new group, or group of accounts, other leisure time activities. And what we're doing here is we're pulling in some of the community activities that come into play, such as National Night Out.
Carriage rides?
Carriage rides.
Yes.
We even talked about like the Halloween candy.
So we're gonna try and concentrate all of that here.
Yeah.
So we know where it's at and we can have a better handle on it, okay?
Is that number enough? So
We were trying to be very cautious because, Leah, do you want to give them a little brief thing of what you want to do next year?
I was asking for about 3,000. I don't know if I will need that much, but possibly doing, maybe not necessarily National Night Out, but our own Minerva Park thing where we're not doing something the same day as everybody else is. So I just wanted to,
Same concept,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
not.
same
Yeah,
concept,
just
yeah,
not
but
on
just
the
making it-
August
Yeah.
6th
Yes.
or whatever.
well,
on
and
the
not in the
same day,
scorching
yeah.
heat. And
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking for, so maybe making it a little bit bigger and getting more people and.
And we just call it Minerva Park Night Out.
I would love it.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, she wants to try to get the helicopter, she wants to try to do that, and it's been very difficult to get anybody. We've had the dive team, we've had all of those in the past, and
Right.
this year it was just like, they were all somewhere else, so we
Yeah.
have, there's a lot of options, that fire trucks were too busy, so if we did our own, and then of course they have even more ideas for that, so.
Isn't there an optional, like, isn't there an August and an October?
There is an
date?
October date too, but we
Yes.
wanted to try to do like, I thought they were still talking about maybe combining some back to school stuff, so later in August. Again, they were tossing around ideas.
Again, I looked at the bottom line number of $4,000, and if we're including carriage rides and, an event
Yes.
like that, is that number really enough?
It's completely up to you all, but
No, it's not, but we were trying to be cautious.
That's a chunk of it.
Okay.
Well,
That's the chunk of it that's in that account.
What we're also talking about is there will be a plan put together as to what's going to take place.
Alright.
And if we find that we don't have enough here, we'll have to come back for supplemental.
Alright, yeah,
So-
I mean,
But right now, it's our best guess.
it's good that we have something in there, so we can say, hey, remember we had this intention, well,
Right.
Yeah.
the reality was slightly bigger than the original estimate. I'm fine with that,
Better to
I
ask
just,
for a little than
Yeah.
have the whole chunk. Yeah.
I go crazy.
So, moving on down, community planning and zoning, this is Eric and the zoning board. The one large expenditure in here is John, our zoning
enforcement
guru,
guy.
is contract with him.
John Canty.
Okay, yes.
Why was it so high in 2019?
For which one?
I'm sorry,
Personal services. It was 81,000 and now we're down to 31.
I think it's two different lines. I think before zoning and Eric and everybody was combined, and now zoning is in a different line of its own.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was combined,
Gotcha.
but now he's contracted.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, because he used to be a direct employee.
Yeah,
And that's
but
how they
with-
were in the same line, and now he's
There's something to do with
He's a
insurance or
1099.
something that's.
yeah, he's a 1099 person,
Yeah.
and so it's accounted for differently.
okay? So, moving on down, we get into the lakes, essentially what we have here. We're running into a fair amount of money dealing with both tree removal, so we've got a separate line there, and a new line this time around is the tree plant, or planting. We've got to start replacing some of the trees in the lawn areas,
Right.
park strip as I call it, both in the new area or out into MI development. So we're making a guesstimate there as to what we're gonna have to spend to replace trees.
Yeah.
Okay?
I know this isn't that meeting, but I'm a
Yeah,
little
we got the lease
worried
contract
that
in here
we've
too.
marked.
That's 28 grand this year, so.
Did Brian mark some of the wrong trees
There's definitely some that were dead
in summer?
that have not, don't have any markings on at all. Like residents specifically called out these trees, there's no markings.
So as of right now, we are not replacing any resident trees because there is still a battle between whether or not we are going to replace those or not. But the MI trees,
Yeah,
the Minerva Park
you mean on
ones,
the reserve space?
on just our reserve
Yeah,
space are
okay.
the only ones I'm doing right now until,
Gotcha. Okay.
because I
Okay.
know you guys kind of went back and forth, we ain't getting into that right now.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
But then
okay.
there's also an
Okay,
East
then
Shore
never mind.
Court, East Shore Court has a couple, from that project, there is still an expectation of a couple trees
Yeah.
getting replaced as
Okay.
well in that one. In
Yeah,
that.
that's not bad.
So that's,
So,
so we just threw 10,000 because we have no idea.
we're good.
Jason, what's the I guess, what's the climate over there? Like, do people want those trees? Do they not? Like, I feel like there's such a mixed bag of.
I think it's a mixture. I don't think any of us wanna take care of the trees, but they're there. And when they grow up and they're nice and big, they'll be beautiful. But,
There's a couple red ones I
Yeah.
absolutely love over there.
Yeah, my parents are they're 15 years old now, they built that house, and it's just they're still kind of
Yeah.
family.
I think I think the pain point's gonna be when roots start tearing up sidewalks and then
Yeah.
residents have to start, and then it'll be curse those trees.
Mm-hmm.
But,
They were trees that were specifically
Supposed to not do that.
supposed to
Okay.
not do that.
Okay.
They were,
That's
they were
better.
tree varieties that were intentionally selected to
Uh-huh.
minimize that problem.
okay, great.
But yeah, you guys are gonna have to go further in depth because who is responsible for the ones in front of people's homes is still a battle. And she was able to prove that she was correct on that one. Like in many developments, it's not, and it's the homeowner's responsibility.
Uh,
In high dollar
Yeah.
ones as well. So who knows? And it's just a matter of how much do we want that $10,000 to be?
Right.
It's like $1 million
Go
neighborhood,
ahead. Yeah,
and still
we're
your
not talking
trees are a
about this.
problem.
Yeah.
My committee.
You're like, we'll see how that goes.
Well, maybe.
But for a starter, we put 10,000.
Always the opportunity to reach out to
Storm
the
sewers and drains, we actually have a separate fund for maintenance of storm sewers now, so that's why there's not in general fund anymore.
Mhm.
Okay? Now we get down into general government, starting with the mayor's office.
Oh, can I ask one other thing? On the environments and lakes aqueduct, did we bump that up?
Yes.
Yes.
For fountains and those type of things?
Not the actual fountains, that's just the contractual services. I don't know that we've put anything in there for the actual fountains yet. Did we didn't do anything for fountains yet, right?
No,
Do you have a number that you want, and it doesn't have to be tonight, if you
Well,
shoot him an
We had
email,
those bids, so.
I have no idea what's on them. Do we know which?
I don't think that goes under contractual.
No, not under
services.
contractual,
No, that
but I
would be
think it's
the
in there.
maintenance of them though, but.
Or the,
You and I can talk about that tomorrow, putting,
well, I'm gonna ask the question, with the lake being set to be dredged,
no, these are for the new section, the other ones,
The
not
retention.
fountains in these.
okay,
Are those just to cut down on the mosquitoes and all the yuck, like the fountains? Yeah.
The
And
fountains or
algae,
aerators.
yeah.
I think that was the decision is, are we gonna do fountains, or are we gonna do air, we haven't decided, but just to put a number in there to at least have something to start with.
I mean, as long
We
as.
might only do one lake, who knows?
I feel, like, are they the same price? Cause I feel like a fountain looks better and it's just as functional, right? Or is it?
No, the aerator does something different than the fountains. The fountains does make it to where it's not stale, like whatever, but the bubblers, but some of them you can't actually do because it's not deep enough.
Yeah, I
And then he gave a couple different things. We can go
We
through
got
and
the
see what
estimates, but,
number we want, and actually, I don't have it. I do have it. You
Okay,
guys
sorry.
continue and we'll,
I feel
You're
like
good,
I'm
I just-
hijacking.
yeah, you're right. That was
I thought
one thing.
we had talked about putting it in the budget, so.
We need to see what we have for landscape also on here. When we get to
Right.
that point, Jeff,
yes,
to talk about landscape, I don't know what we did for that to clean the beds moving forward next year.
it's not in, we need to,
We haven't gotten that quote yet, so maybe what we need to do is take the quote we have and times it by 3. If we do it 3 times,
Yes.
just to have a number.
yes, that's something we also gotta stick in, okay?
We'll remember that tomorrow. But I'm gonna see if I can find an Aquedoc number, oh my gosh. I get so much junk.
Okay, I'm sorry to derail us.
I'll stick a box in there with it. All right, ready to go on?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see, you're down to the mayor's office. No significant real change here on anything. Other personal services includes Barb running about 30 hours a week. Okay? And 5% increase for next year too. Legislative activities, which is council. At the last meeting, there were some things thrown out by
Nikki,
Nikki, keep it straight, that she wanted, but I never got any cost numbers. There's something about a survey and a handful of other things that she rattled off.
so the survey, you should be able to find the previous one.
Eric said use
Yeah.
3,000 for this year,
How much?
3,000.
That sounds really low.
It is, but I think they're planning on doing it a little different this year.
Okay.
Eric said to use somewhere, I know, I thought it was 15,000 like the year, a
Yeah.
couple years ago.
I was remembering 12, so.
So then we're close, yeah. So I wanna say they said around 3,000 for that. But then the other thing, Jason, we briefly talked about was the client appreciation thing. And I don't know how the rest of council feels, if they want to do it, do they want to do it in January?
The what
And-
appreciation thing?
The resident appreciation.
Resident appreciation, sorry, I'm at work right
I
now.
think she said 400, didn't she, for that?
But I think the problem with that is that's not mailers, that's not postcards, that's
No,
not,
it's just
that's
the-
probably just the magnets are gonna be that. I mean, if you're trying to get 800 magnets, you're gonna be at least 400 or 500.
Mhm.
And then if you're gonna mail them, you're gonna be
Right.
another, I don't know, 400 or 500,
Oh, even more than that.
probably more than that. And then if you're gonna
Unless-
order them,
Unless the magnets are the mailer, and then they could be mailed as postcards.
yeah, well, and then, but again, how much are those?
Right.
How much could a banana cost? $10?
So I think that's the question, and to turn this around in January, this budget is not gonna hit until January 1st. So either somebody needs to discuss an appropriation for this year to get this done if she's wanting to do it, and she's not here, so to ask her.
Oh, right.
But if you wanna do it in January of 2024, that's what this would be for, because you would order it in December.
Right.
I-
I don't know, I don't know how, I think the other part is just making sure that the rest of council's on board for these particular projects, making sure that we have group consensus to, are we doing these
So-
things?
Here's what I think. I think in the previous section that we talked about, that was, unless that
Are you
National
sure?
Night Out,
Yeah.
that community event line item, that's probably where that should live, right?
Which part are you?
Where
If
we
we
were
did
talking
a
about the
resident
money for,
appreciation,
yeah,
the
this resident
390.
appreciation should probably live in that line item, right? And, like I said, I didn't think that number was necessarily big enough before. And so throwing another $1,000 in
Yeah.
that doesn't feel like the wrong thing. And then we still have time to discuss the ifs and whats. And because I don't know that as a council, we have discussed this as a real thing.
I was like, where does this come from?
Uh-huh,
I'm like,
Communications
I think we had a-
yeah, communications committee has had
Yeah.
this idea of a resident appreciation.
I mean,
Okay.
don't we appreciate them by cleaning the leaves up?
That's, I wasn't gonna say that quite so loudly, but yeah, I don't disagree with that as a thought. That our appreciation is
Okay.
continued service and providing of services, right? Like, it feels weird when people complain you spend too much money, so you know what we're gonna do, we're gonna
Yeah,
spend more money
for trinkets.
for trinkets. Like, if those trinkets were, the police phone number again, that's a winner. If it's just, we love the people who live here,
Here's some
I think that
trash.
needs more conversation.
Okay.
I
I
agree
put a
with
note
that.
up above,
Yeah.
okay?
Unless
One
we
thing
get
that's
everybody.
getting moved here is the village mailer, the villager. It's buried down in other general governments, we're gonna bring it up here under council and let that be one of the communication things from council.
Okay.
Okay? That runs about $5,000 a year, $1,200 something a quarter, I believe it was. Okay? Mayor's Court, one of the big expenditures here besides the obvious mayor and prosecutor, is other contractual services, which includes the software, docketing, and allowing for online payments. Okay? So, fiscal office, that is a combination of both myself and Leah. Okay? One thing that's probably a little new is dues and fees and training services. I have continuing ed I need to keep up on. Not so much my CPA license because I retired that, but there's statutory requirements as a fiscal officer. I have to deal with the continuing ed. Plus the continuing ed for dealing with the investments. Okay. So I've added some things like some additional money in there for that. No real capital needed for fiscal office. Lands and buildings, personal services is Brian and some seasonal people, okay? I bumped up the
So
utilities.
small
Yeah.
for what we need in the village.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm just saying that
It's-
that's a low number
Yeah,
for what we
we
really
need
need
a,
to.
we need a
take care of our-
strategy and
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
come up with a
Jeez.
better,
was
I don't think it's a right now or for this
No,
budget,
yeah.
but I think that next year, we need a real conversation about maintenance and,
Full-time and.
full-time
Yeah.
and
We've
and
actually had
staff
that
and-
conversation.
No, I've got a couple other things that along the lines outside of general fund I want to.
Yeah, okay.
Cause a truck,
Yeah.
Lands and buildings,
Truck.
I bumped up the utilities mainly. I'm hearing electric's going up, I'm hearing natural gas.
Oh, yeah.
I personally haven't seen it because I'm under contract with the
Yeah, but-
retailers.
there's
Also
nothing that
have a
hasn't
big
gone up,
building.
if you've been to the grocery store, I mean,
Right.
there's no way it's not going to go up, so.
Yes.
I think
So
we're all
I
holding our breath.
factored an increase in for that, for the utilities there. Plus, it looks like the utilities for the office we're in are gonna run about $500 a month. I got some information
Good.
from Beth, I think it is.
Yeah.
On that, and like I said, it looks like $500 a month out of it that we're gonna get billed for. So.
Plus, we still have a lot of the utilities still on at the other one because they're still using water, electric, and all of that, so
What?
that's gonna be the next couple
They
months.
can't bring their own water?
I know.
Their own electric?
We asked them to bring their own water, but
All those tools should run on batteries.
big ones.
Milwaukee.
That's right.
Just kidding.
We haven't had a real audit for over 4 years. So there is a contract with a firm to do an audit, but they're 2 years out. And I've talked to them about doing 23 and 24 as separate periods. If we've got some things we got to address and take care of, I'd rather know now, not 2 years from now. I mean, we're coming across things we got to catch up with it. We know on some of it. But I'd rather have a good audit and let's see what's out there that needs our attention, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm working on getting a response on that. We may consider going to biannual after that. Wait and see how council feels about it and go from there. Village solicitor, I've already been told that they are increasing the rate for next year.
That cheeky bastard.
I know.
Wow.
They're not bashful. You know, we're looking at some of these and we're like, oh, here's a little bit.
That's been bumped up. Income tax collections, 3% of our revenue. We do get a rebate each year to the extent that expenses really didn't hit 3% from them. But I got it budgeted at 3% of collections.
Yes.
Other general government, there's just a handful of things down here. I mentioned the villager. Now, I can take that out of here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Hey,
Woo-hoo.
I'll just save $5,000.
Yeah.
I think you just did it to the wrong.
I suppose that's probably funny to me at this point.
Wait, did you, what's the one below though? Did you zero out 2 columns there?
No, it was already zero.
Oh, is okay.
Or in here.
Rents and leases is our building for now.
Oh, yeah, got
I'm
it.
hoping we're out at the end of the lease.
Yeah.
I believe I did 12 months, I won't swear to it, I could have done 9. I'll have to double check that. Okay, I'm hoping we're out 9, I'm not gonna incur anymore, because it's 4,900. What's our monthly cost on that, almost 5?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, we got our property and general liability insurance here, but we also allocate that out to some of the other departments and other funds to the extent we can. Okay.
Hang on. Why did we take the villager out?
Because
It's up
it's
under
up
council
under
now.
council now.
Yeah.
Instead of
Oh,
very
that's right.
miscellaneous general government.
Okay.
I don't know. So to that end, I
Yes.
kind of liked that it had its own line, other
And we'll create a
general.
line up there for it.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as there's a line that says,
Yeah.
this is the money for the villager,
Okay.
instead of just mixed in with, this is the money for council stuff.
Yes, I'll create a line up there for it.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Okay. Office supplies and so on, this has been a shared line for various departments at times. I'm trying to close that down and put it back where it belongs. So it'll take another year to do that, okay?
He's trying to bust us out.
There is no capital outlay other than what I pointed out for the police department. I do have, and I put in $500,000 for transfers with 2 things in mind. $350,000 to be transferred to storm sewer improvement fund, and $150,000 to a new fund for pool improvements.
Uh-huh, yeah.
We're looking at a master plan for pool,
Mhm.
and we'll charge the master plan over to that fund.
Thought I'd get a smile on
We'll
your
have
face.
to look out into the future after we see the plan to figure
Yeah.
out what we're gonna do, how much, grants, so on, that we can get with it, okay? If we can fund some of the improvements annually for the next few years, we'll look at that next year and see what we can do. The one project that the $350,000 is gonna cover is the Jordan Storm Sewer. Instead of waiting for that to get some loans or grants, get it done now. Because we would push it out another year at least.
So from the meeting that we had the other night,
Mhm.
we were talking about July of 2024, we all agreed on that. And then he brought that up So we actually already have the other 150 from 2 other funds.
Okay.
So we do have $500,000 with the 350 plus the 150 we already have.
Okay.
I called and talked to Mike Flickinger today. Actually, Mike called me back and he said that he sees absolutely no reason why we could not have it bid out in January, February-ish.
Get it done.
That they are finalizing some of the design work right now, and by early January. The only holdup he absolutely could see is if a resident was to hold it up. He does not see why this could not be a late, now it'd still be like a late summer, early fall, depending on the contractor that wins it. But he does not see any reason we could not bid it.
That's our resident appreciation part.
Yeah.
That's,
You know, it's like that meme where it's like, Dad, you never buy us anything, so you like put like a bow on the like the electric switch or on the faucet.
Just to make everybody aware here, the
Mhm.
project's estimated to be about 550,000.
Yeah.
Okay, the sources of funds to cover the project, 350,000 transfer from general fund. There's $69,000 in the ARP grant fund, so we're holding on to for this project. The EMS vehicle fund
Mhm.
Yeah.
never got transferred, so there's 93,000 there that will have to get transferred back to general fund, and then we'll transfer it again to
Yeah,
the project fund, okay?
beautiful.
We may have a slight difference in there after we have the bids, and we'll use some funds out of the special maintenance fund to balance it out. Okay?
So
550 was on the high end, wasn't it? I mean.
that's what we, you know, it
half-
hasn't been bid, that's their estimate.
Right.
So I think if,
Mhm.
you know, if everybody is on board to move forward, or maybe
Right.
we just kind of talk about it a little bit at the next meeting, and then we let Mike know that that is something we want to move forward on,
Yeah.
Okay.
that would be, that was,
all
we
right,
just
so
wanted to
that-
I talked to Dan, and he's still waiting on his lawyer to see how it works with the trust for the easement, so he would hold us up, and then that guy next door, that nobody receives, Albert Smith or whatever his other name is. Have you seen him lately?
So then we don't need them to do the
Right.
grant unless we want them to start working on something for 2024,
Mhm.
which we got a huge list of projects anyways.
It's a trust for his daughter.
Which is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
The daughter, yeah.
All right,
No,
so we're
but
at 3 whatever,
they're
so
waiting on the
now we need to
lawyer
look at the windmill side, right? Make sure we're making
I have
3 million
a-
next year.
Well, not quite 3 million, but the forecast on the bottom line is what we're gonna talk about now.
Yeah,
So they
Okay?
just, do you want our lawyer to do this, 'cause I want.
We're on target for 1.8 million on income tax collections right now,
So they just need to.
maybe closer to $1,830,000-ish.
okay.
Okay, I'm only gonna estimate 100,000,008 next year because I think we could have a little downturn. We'll wait and see on it, but outside of that, then it can begin to climb. We've got the additional schools coming online
Mm-hmm.
that will help. So that's where I'm at with that. The property taxes, it's based, at least the 23 estimate is based on what the county's already given us as an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really gonna change much because our levies, they're fixed income, essentially, okay? Outside of that, revenues will probably remain fairly consistent in there, okay? All the expenditures is just what we talked about from the detailed worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get down to the bottom line because that's the important side.
Yeah,
Okay? At the end of, well, we're probably gonna end 22, based on budget, around $1.5 million. It could be higher, depends upon how we finish the rest of the year out. I had mentioned once before about having a fund balance policy as to what is our target carryover. Jeffway, last I read, they push out for about 6 months. I think somebody threw out 3 months,
I've heard both those numbers.
okay? Yes. Conservative side of me, I kind of like 6 because it's a little more cushion. Part of the policy would be, also include, if we choose to utilize some of that carryover balance, how we're gonna replace it. So it's something I will pull together yet, but I haven't had a chance to. The good side is taking into account the increases with the police salaries and again, potentially upwards of 12.5% for '24. This is our bottom line that we're looking at.
Right.
At the end of '23, we're still paying at just over $1 million. For '24, we dropped down to 876, and then we kind of hold at the $800,000 to $900,000 range. Okay? And again, estimates could change, so revisiting this
Sure.
at least annually and trying to maintain our target balance, whichever we choose.
Yeah, so your 6-month number should be what?
6-month numbers would be roughly $1 million.
So we're,
So we're close.
we're within the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
So, you know, if we're looking at somewhere between 3 to 6 months as far as the target carryover, we're hanging there.
Yeah, I think this all makes sense, this all looks
So-
good.
The TIF money, and I understand
Yes.
that the next 2 years we kind of borrowed against it and paying it back, but where does that fall in here?
Oh, for some reason my my repayment didn't come forward.
Uh-oh.
Lori, definitely
Well, now that
next
number
time
looks
we go
worse.
to the project.
That proves it.
Oh, does it? Oh.
That's money coming back into general fund.
Oh, that's right.
We're paying ourselves back.
Nice.
Because there's the advance out.
Yeah,
Where's the income? That would be revenue, right? The TIF
What?
money?
The TIF money is in a separate fund, it is not part of general fund.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Okay? So, the advance coming back makes.
All the
a little
difference in the
better.
world, yeah.
mm-hmm, yeah, no.
Answer there.
It does a lot better, yeah.
Yes, so, and again, we've got some other projects that are hanging out there as to how we try to fund them and so on. Yes.
25,000 for fountains and aerators is a good estimate. We don't need to do it tonight, I just wanted to put it on the record.
That's a complete project, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, that there was one estimate that was 15,000 alone, there was a couple that were 5,000. So again, just like a holding number, I don't know that we would do all of it. I think we would probably pick and choose which ones we would do, but if we only did one, it's 15,000, some of the other ones were 5,000 each.
Right.
Again, we might need 35,000, but a good start would be 25 for a good,
Are we wanting to get that done next year or so, or what?
that's, I mean,
I mean, they're looking
I mean,
they're
Yeah.
looking rough, they should have been
Yeah.
probably done a year ago.
Right.
And if we're gonna start doing the treatments on it, we gotta get the water moving in one avenue or another.
Yeah.
So I would say Aqueduct could probably get it done easily in '23, so that's gonna be up to
Well,
council.
Part of the reason I'm just a little curious on that is, that would seem to be a potential qualifying expenditure against the TIF revenue.
Oh, for sure.
absolutely.
But we're not gonna have much there to spend for 2 years because of the debt payments.
Right.
and Getting that advance paid back.
That could
So-
be my path.
We
Um,
could,
Maybe one
We
of the
could-
things we do when we authorize the work for the fountains, we can cover it out of general fund with the understanding that in 2025,
We
to
pay
the
it
extent
back.
resources are available in the TIF fund, general fund gets reimbursed.
yeah, that's how we should do it.
Okay?
Just arrange it on, oh,
So,
TIF revenue, fine.
I think it's important for us to start showing that we're investing in the MI development and so on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, and they're looking kind of,
Right.
I mean, we're not talking huge amounts, we don't need a lot of over there, so.
yeah.
No, but taking care of what we do have is
Right.
important.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
And the worse it gets, the more it's gonna cost.
Right.
And that's where we've been on a lot of projects, is we let it go so far that it costs twice as much to fix it.
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
I'm happy with where general fund's hanging,
as am I.
but,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, constantly revisiting makes me feel better with it
Yeah,
too, so.
yeah.
Mhm.
I do have a handful of other topics to bring up,
Okay.
no handouts with them, but next time we meet, I will have something for all the other funds and hopefully a draft of the appropriation ordinance. If not, it will definitely follow somewhere between first and second meeting in November, okay?
Okay.
So the readings are gonna have to start though, the first actual meeting in November, but it may not be 1,000% complete, is what he's trying to tell you.
That first reading can be, we know we have a budget to pass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Already mentioned, new position in the police department, the school resource officer. That is, and I didn't build in the reimbursement yet, but we're looking at potentially getting 50% of that cost of that individual reimbursed from the school district.
Right, so that number will look even better.
That's something else we haven't worked in here yet.
The reimbursement we haven't worked in, but the.
Correct.
Correct.
But the salary we did.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we're looking
Yeah,
at
great.
$40,000-$50,000 coming back on that.
Okay.
5454 Cleveland Avenue is a new sewers or storm sewer project. Estimate right now from the engineer is $70,000, so we'll have to be bid. And that one will get funded out of the storm sewer maintenance fund. Okay? But we'll get that one done in 23. I mentioned creating the pool improvement fund and the transfer out from general fund, so that will be forthcoming to take place. I mentioned Jordan Road already, and going forward there, so good there. The township is hitting us up for cost of snow plowing. And their concern seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, is the new areas and their ability to get in there with their equipment. It's a problem. It's too tight.
Jason,
Those streets are built
The
to,
courts and things like that are
There's-
still an issue.
well, the courts are the same courts they've always been, and there's only one court in all of the new.
Yeah. I think it's just the
Development.
courts in
Also,
general.
are there no
And-
new townships or no new developments in Blendon Township, like this is the only one?
No.
And this is the only tight one? I don't know that.
The other side that goes with this is London's not getting any tax revenue off
Correct.
by development.
And we've always known that was coming.
Yeah.
Like, that was a discussion
So-
from them a long time ago.
We can control what London's trying to do if we ourselves would have a pickup truck capable of having a salt compact. We can salt the roads, you put a plow on it, we can take care of the type of roads in the cul-de-sacs. We can get the truck out of the street fund.
I mean,
I'm okay with
So I would like to have a more in-depth conversation of what is actually meant by the tighter roads, because those roads are built to the same Columbus standard.
They have the issue
As-
going around the courts, they continue to run over
Yeah,
the
but-
curbs and things like
Yeah,
that
but the courts
over.
are
Don't
new,
they?
right? That's not a new
I don't
thing.
know that those are to standard, some of those are pretty,
No, but the new, but I'm talking about
Oh,
some of
the
the
new
new
ones?
sections.
Yeah,
So if
that's
we're
true.
saying that this is
yeah,
because of
there's
a
two
change.
cul-de-sacs in
Yeah,
the
there's
whole new
only-
MI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of those are built to Columbus standards.
yeah.
Right, the
Yeah.
old ones, yeah, they've always had
No, the
problems with the
old ones.
old ones.
No, I don't know
that's-
about the new ones,
yeah.
I know that they have an issue with the old
I,
ones.
and I understand that Blendon isn't getting any
Correct.
property tax revenue
Yes.
out of the,
And that number was always budgeted, that number has been in the budget since that development started for
Yeah.
that, and I believe that the line item number was 10 grand is what Kim just kind of threw in there as a placeholder. So
So-
she had originally thought that's about what it would be,
yeah, now,
Probably.
I would rather us not do our plowing, because that feels.
We are not doing our plowing, so
Yeah.
what we would be doing is we would essentially be getting something, for example, when they can't get here fast enough, like the Farview Minerva Lake Road that is a hill.
Yeah.
That we have residents that are running out there throwing salt and doing different things because cars are getting stuck. We would be able to go and do some of those areas, we would be able to do some of our own cul-de-sacs, but they would still be doing 99.9% of it.
Yeah,
So-
I am fine with an upgrade of a truck.
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
agree.
Is that what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yes,
Getting rid of what
so
we
it would be like an
currently
F-250,
have,
F-350,
upgrading what-
it would not be more
An
than.
upgrade of a truck with
Yes.
a plow and
Yeah.
a salt box,
And it
make
would
sure
be
it's
so-
four-wheel drive this
Right.
time.
And we would be able to do our own, and they don't do, the community building. I mean,
Right.
we are responsible, and now we're gonna have even more at the community building, being able to get that done, and just the current truck that we have, there's nothing wrong with the current truck, we'd even discussed whether or not we would get rid of it, or whether or not we would keep it. We would maybe see what it was worth and then determine
Yeah.
it, but then we kinda thought, driving around an F-350, maybe gas-wise doesn't make sense in general for Brian, I mean, and if we have other maintenance people, having two, one that can just go pick up trees and little things here and there and with the trailer, so, you know, whether or not, I'm not promising you that we would get rid of the other truck to apply it towards this, but that would be your guys' discussion. Is it worth
Yeah.
keeping?
Can we get an electric one? Can you get an electric?
I don't know if an electric truck will be able to plow.
I don't think it would be able to plow.
What?
Huh?
There's so
Our
far-
existing truck is only two-wheel drive and it can't.
What?
It-
Are you
Enforcement
kidding me?
uses it too.
No
There-
way, the Rivian, my husband just put a down payment on a Rivian, and it's 800 horsepower.
Yeah,
I've no
there,
idea.
there
Crazy
are, there
powerful.
are electric trucks that
I heard that.
could do that. I don't know enough about that. I also, you know,
I'll Google it.
I'm not super sold on electric vehicles.
I'm not either. I just talked to a realtor about it, and you can't, you know,
There-
they have issues using their electric cars because they don't know how far they can actually go, and you show one house and then 4 hours later you're still showing houses, and now all of a sudden you're stuck.
Right.
So no thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, there's,
Out
but,
in the middle of Johnstown.
you know,
It costs the average person about $2,500 to have a line run to the garage with a charging station
Yeah.
that has 50 amps on it.
And we have talked about, Mike Flickinger, just as an FYI,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Flickinger and I did talk a little bit about getting a charging station at the community building.
Yeah, no, I-
Because of all the grants and things like
Yeah.
that that are out there, just as an FYI, but it
I'd
has
be down
nothing
for
to do with
that.
that.
The, you know, and,
That's not built in
and,
yet, by the way.
and a charging
Yeah, no.
station into a future maintenance building also
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
you know, and we wouldn't expect this electric vehicle to be driving the 300 miles in a day that is the range on most of these electric vehicles. So
I think
it's
the
it's
issue
not a
is-
range problem for me.
Right.
It's a, you know,
But they do run constantly, so again, he's not gonna shut the car off every 5 minutes to, you know, jump in, jump out. I don't know enough about the electric ones.
Yeah.
I'm a no thank you,
Before-
but I know a lot of people like
before
them.
we would bite the bullet on an electric truck, I think that requires some research.
Okay, they don't make one yet.
Ha
That, it's not that, it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Like, I want that.
Yeah, so.
Hey, if it saves gas, you never know.
Well,
Let's get a Rivian.
I will also bring it the next time we meet, the complete list of projects. Just haven't had a chance to go back and revisit and update that one.
Cool.
But, so,
Sounds good.
I also have, there will be a number of pieces of legislation forthcoming.
And then some.
Salary ranges and positions, the employee health care,
Mhm.
annual appropriations. I need to, and employee handbook, but that may be a meeting or two later, because there isn't a dire need to have that for the first of the year
Right.
that I'm aware of. And I gotta draft the legislation to transfer the funds around that I mentioned, okay?
If you could, if we could aim to have that for the work session, the first work session for November. Because if those are all things we need done by end of year, we need to have that conversation in the work session so that we can start.
There's no way you're gonna have the handbook and all that stuff, but
Just the legislation doesn't have to have it completed.
Oh,
All that,
okay.
all that first reading
just the
needs
first
is-
page, okay.
All that first reading needs is, we know there's a change to the handbook coming.
My goal
Okay.
is to have the legislation for the first meeting in November,
Yeah,
Okay.
at least for
right,
salary positions.
I see what you're saying.
healthcare,
I'll
and
handle that.
appropriations,
right. But
Perfect.
it-
transfers.
But it can't show up on Thursday. We need it
Understand.
preferably the Thursday before,
Right.
so that there can be a conversation.
Basically, all the addendums and all the attachments can come later, you just
Yeah.
want the front page.
We just need to know this
It's
is coming, we need it
Yes.
read into the record
And
so
then
that
we
the
can-
public knows it's coming.
Yes.
So that people will be comfortable
I
with
totally
the
get that.
process.
Barb and I can work on some of that stuff with them tomorrow and Friday, and even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, to just make sure that we have the name of the legislation on the agenda and all of that, even
Yeah.
for,
We're
I get
talking
it.
November 3rd.
Yeah,
November
but he's
3rd
not
is
talking
the work
about,
session.
yeah, he doesn't need the whole.
We don't need the
Right.
full 100% legislation, we just need enough of it that we can have a conversation in the work session, and then we can have a
That makes
reading.
sense.
I have one more thing to bring up tonight,
Okay,
okay? In going through and looking at budget for next year, general fund needs to have some corrections made. And what I'm asking here is authority to transfer existing appropriation authority from places where it's not needed to places where it is needed. It is not an increase in appropriations.
yeah,
It's moving.
easy enough.
I'd like to present that for tomorrow night, but I don't know how well it would be received, let alone passed.
I mean,
So I'm asking.
what I would tell you is that we could have a first reading tomorrow. right? You know, if we had a first reading tomorrow, we could even go through all 3 readings and be done before December 31st.
No, this is now.
Oh, this is, you
This
want
is needs now. This
needs
is,
now.
yes, this is so
I-
we can pay people, and this is also
I can't
moving
make-
money, not
I can't make
appropriating.
any guarantee that anybody's gonna,
I mean,
but we can have a
send it,
conversation.
right? I think what we learned from the last one was send it out with the explanation
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Yeah, so if you're hoping to get it to
Yeah.
pass tomorrow, send an
Definitely
email
present
tonight.
it tomorrow,
Huh?
okay?
No, email it tonight.
Yeah, email it.
With a paragraph, this is what this is. This is
Right.
an increase of money, this is moving money, and this is why it needs to move.
And be prepared to like say that tomorrow.
They're not gonna be there, so
Yeah.
you guys be prepared to
Yeah,
hear
we
that.
can-
He's
we
telling
can
you
say
guys
that.
tonight.
And,
Yeah.
and having that email in advance will help.
Will help.
But if it comes out tomorrow, there
Yeah.
are people on council who won't check their council email
Right.
tomorrow, right? The sooner it's out, the more likely everybody will see it and it won't be a surprise.
It does help as also, you know, when you start to pay bills towards the end of the year and everything's getting a
Yeah.
lot smaller, would be very, very helpful to be able to move stuff around and just.
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just
We
saying
know.
that,
Just letting you know.
that there are
And we can put that in
appetites
the email as well. Yeah.
for
We can
information in
explain it.
advance and procedures.
Right.
And so when we are asking other people on council to circumvent standard procedures, they like
So,
a little more time and a little more information.
Yeah.
if nothing else, if it's passed by the first meeting in November,
Mm-hmm.
that would also work.
That is, I would give you a much higher likelihood that you would not get any pushback if it was to waive one
Right.
reading.
Okay.
And because it's appropriation stuff, it doesn't
Goes right
have to
away.
go as an emergency, which people love to pucker about that too.
Yes.
Not me.
Well,
I was never.
I get it, I get why.
I brought that up tonight because I'm not sure which way it's really. gonna
Yeah,
go.
no, but yeah, but just get
If
it
you
out
can
in
send an email out tonight, we will try, because we do only have to
Yeah.
have 5 out of 6, and if we have all 6 there, you
Well,
might get
We only need
5.
4 out of 6 to,
Or
to waive, we
waive.
are gonna waive readings, so we're gonna need
Waive,
5
I
out
don't
of
think-
6.
You're not gonna be there tomorrow?
No.
Oh, that's right, you're leaving.
Where are you going? You can't.
So we may not even have, here's the other part, we may not even have 5 by the time tomorrow rolls around.
I mean, we'll have 5 people at the meeting, because I don't know of anybody else who's not coming.
Yeah,
Okay, but like,
we've been short 1 to 2 almost every time. He's already not gonna be there. I mean, I think
I
Vicky
know
will be there, but if she gets stuck at work or David gets stuck at work, you're done.
Yeah,
You know, having that passed by
And David's
council,
been
is that
Trying to, I mean,
considered
as long as there's no traffic, but she's been stuck in traffic twice this week.
Since we're not doing an
Yeah.
appropriation.
David's usually okay by
We're
Sunday.
amending
Yeah,
what's
I think he should be
in
there by
existing.
then.
we're
It's a
amending an
6:30 start.
appropriation.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes.
I would like to role play as an angry villager and ask why we are doing this last minute like this.
Doing
It's-
what?
Why,
Why are we doing this like all of a sudden?
What?
But this,
Because when you go in, it's hard to make, like, when you pay all of the police stuff, you don't realize how low some of these are until you actually are doing it in each individual line. Like, if you had a checkbook that has 400 accounts, would you be able to check every single account? You don't notice until it gets this low, and we're in October. If you go back and look at it last in October.
this happens every year.
It happens every single year.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't we know? There's more that's gonna be coming over the next couple weeks, because these are the accounts we're in. These are, I would assume, salaries, yeah. Salaries,
Some of them are,
salary,
yes.
Yeah.
zoning salaries.
Just say it like that. I feel
Yeah.
like everybody will understand if you say it
oh,
like that.
I'm
Hopefully.
not saying that they won't, I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
you know, if we, you know, a penny of prevention is worth a pound of
You're
cure.
a pessimist, Brian.
I am a pessimist, because I'd rather not walk in saying, of course this is okay,
Right.
and then
And
realize
that's
that.
me, that's
and it
me,
only
I'm like, I
takes
don't think
2
it'll be a
people to be
problem,
like,
it's you're moving it from one account to another, it's no different than,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
not budgeting, or we're not spending more, we're just moving it
Right.
from
We went through and
A to
looked
B.
very close to general fund to see what's going on in working with
Yeah.
the budget for next year. And a couple of these we knew. The salaries for the fiscal officer had to be increased because of me coming in.
Yeah.
We knew that one was out there.
Yeah, no,
So-
I'm not saying that there is a problem, I am not opposing this in any way, I'm just saying that if we are looking to waive readings, we need to dot i's and cross t's and make sure that we are giving the other members of council enough of the warm fuzzy that they need to be comfortable with that. That is all.
No problem.
Yeah. Cool. Anybody got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Going once, going twice. Move to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Let's go.